My name is Rahab, and welcome to the very first episode of Ray in Focus, a safe space where we talk about real emotions, real relationships, and real stories. This space was born from the need, to talk about the different things, the different emotions, and lessons that I've learned or experienced, over the years in my life. And today's episode is sort of personal. Um, I'm going to be talking about being a giver. This is something that I've come to realize about myself over the years from a lot of self reflection and especially from what people have told me. But yeah, let's get into it. Being a giver, honestly, is one of the most beautiful things. Like, literally. I think being a giver is top tier, right? Because, you love from your heart, you give without calculation. You just care for those people around you. And you do it simply because it's who you are. You don't do it expecting like anything in return, right? You know, it's just part of your nature. And because of that, people are naturally, very naturally drawn to you. But here's the thing, right? Yes, we attract other givers, like, and if I'm going to be honest, I feel like those are some of the most beautiful relationships you'll ever form in your life, right? But mm, you attract takers too. And honestly, one of the best things you can do for yourself as a person in general, right, is to be self aware of who you are, especially as a giver, honestly. Because if you're not aware of who you are, being a giver can leave you 190% drained. I know I said 190%, even though. But yeah, being a giver can leave you 100% drained. Like, you need to be self aware, like, really self aware of who you are. Not just aware of who you are, right? Also aware of the people around you, the people you let into your life. Because at the end of the day, if you're not careful, mm, they will show you premium shiggy. Let's believe. Now, when I say giver, I'm not just talking about finances. Mm-mm. I'm talking about, like, giving your time, your space, your energy to people, all those little things that you give away, like, without even realizing that you're doing it, right? Those little things that just make you extra special, those little things that make you who you are. And like I said earlier, right? As a giver, we attract people, you attract other givers too, and you attract takers, right? And if you're not careful, you miss all the red flags, like all of it. You miss the signs. And honestly, I have learned that the signs are always there. The signs are always, always there. But if you're not careful enough, you miss them because you're too busy being a gift. Like, literally, you're too busy being a gift. You're too busy being some people's safe space, that you ignore so many things, right? And before you know it, one day you wake up, you're just tired, you're drained. A lot of the times you're like very busy doing what people can, like, easily, very easily do for themselves, right? But you're doing it because you couldn't say no, right? And they'll keep asking you because they know you say yes. They are very aware of who you are, but you're not there yet. You're just, I'm here, use me. You're just there giving, 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 giving until you wake up dry, right? At this point, you have nothing else to give. And depending on who you're dealing with, right? They could either help you or just leave you out to dry, right? If you're dealing with another giver, a true friend, like someone that actually really cares about you, someone that is your friend because they love you, they actually care about you, like they're not just friends with you because of what you have to offer, right? It could go one way or the other. If you're friends with a true giver, they'll probably pour back into you, literally tell you need to rest. They would normally not even drain you because, if we're being honest, givers do not, like, we have a hard time asking for help, right? That's one of the things that I had to learn about myself. I'm working on it though, but givers have a hard time asking for help. So lots of the times when you're drained, like when you feel tired, when you're exhausted, when you don't have anything left to give, like emotionally or like whichever way, right? It's mostly because you've given way too much to people that do not pour back into you. Because the people that would pour back into you, the people that love you, will not let you get there, right? But then again, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to learn from it. Because, like, one thing about a taker, the most definite thing about them is that they will keep taking. They will keep taking until you have nothing else to give. And when you get to that point, right, they they will leave you. They will leave you, right? It's either they're just done with you, or they feel like, oh, this person isn't giving me like what I normally get from them anymore. So what's the point? What am I doing here? Right? They leave you and they move on to the next giver. And let's be honest, when things like that happen, right? You, if you're not self aware, like if you're not aware of yourself, like who you are and the people around you in general, you're most likely going to be thinking, what did I do wrong, right? You're down, you're feeling sad about it. You miss this person because you haven't really studied the situation. You're not reading between the lines. You're not seeing what you're supposed to be seeing, right? You want to be needed most of the time. Most of the time, you want to feel among, you want to feel included, you want to be part of their life, or you thought you were part of their life, right? So this new change um, leaves you sad, basically unhappy. I don't want to use the word depressed, but you get what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, but you didn't. If you sit down and you study the situation, you understand yourself, you understand whoever that person was, right? Most of the time, you'd see that you are probably not the problem, right? You just ran out of gas. Okay. You ran out of gas and they only need you when your tank is full. Ah, Jesus, I'm making sense. What a wow. And now, when you look back at some of these relationships, like some of these friendships, all of it, you realize that it wasn't your fault, honestly, right? A lot of the time, it's not your fault. Um, but at this point, it's up to you to learn from it. That's why self-reflection is very important, right? Because if we're going to be honest, you're not going to be a giver in everybody's story. You are definitely not going to be a giver in everybody's story. Everybody has something different to say about you. But if 70, 80, 90% of the time you get feedback like, oh, you're such a nice person, oh, you're a giver, you know that. And after your own like personal self-reflection, you know that that's who you are, right? You have to study it, you have to understand it. And the same thing goes for, takers. If you get feedback like, you're not very helpful, Lou, you don't like helping, you're just this, you're very self-centered, you're very this, you're very that, you should Sit down and think about it. When you're dealing with takers, right? The signs are always there. The signs are always there. Um, a lot of the times they know, they're self-aware. Um, Sometimes they might not mean it, right? But they do it anyway, right? They know you say yes. They know you show up. They know you fix things. Um, Even down to the smallest things that they're supposed to do, they will not do it because they know you'll do it. And if you're not self aware, you're not aware of the situation, or you've not taken time out to understand the person you're dealing with, you keep giving, you keep pouring, you know, you just keep going and going and going until you wake up one day like, I'm tired, right? I don't know what is going on. I'm exhausted. What is, you don't know, right? The worst part of this is that the takers, the ones who drained you, the people you gave, you know, all of you to, um, they leave. They will leave you. They will leave you. Um, Instead of checking in, you know, trying to help you refill, instead of being there, being your friend, they will leave you and move on to the next available person, or should I say the next available giver, right? Because they weren't there for you, they didn't really come for you, they came for what you had to offer, if that makes sense. um the friendship really wasn't about you, like, loving you. And sometimes, if I'm being honest, I feel like some of these people are not aware of the things that they do sometimes. um it's up to you to communicate or take a step back, you know. But I'll say communicate, but a lot of the time, well, if I'm going to be honest, I don't follow my own advice. I normally just step away, but I only step away when I feel like you know exactly what you're doing. I quit, if that makes sense. I'll speak for myself. A couple of years back, when things like this would happen, I would normally ask myself, did I do something wrong? Did I not do enough, right? Did I give too little? Even when people would tell me, you're doing too much, you're, you know, yeah, because at that point, you give too much of yourself, that's what people start to expect from you. It becomes your identity to them, like literally the person that would do whatever it is that I say. And when you don't do that anymore, it becomes a problem, right? But yeah, I used to, you know, feel a way about it, but I had to grow out of that. Honestly, I had to grow out of all of those feelings, all of those emotions, and look at things the way that they are, right? So when it comes to the situation of being, of like dealing with takers, um, it's normally not that simple, not that black and white. Um, yeah, I had to start learning to protect my peace, protect my space, basically just creating boundaries and sticking with them, like not um giving, should I say, room for people who do not respect those boundaries. Once upon a time, I used to think, okay, being a giver, like, it's a weakness. I need to change that about me. I need to only be there for the people that show up for me, like, all of the time. But at that point, it started becoming, I don't know. I just used to tell myself that, okay, now you have to be wicked. Do you get? But no, God literally teaches us to love unconditionally. But love without boundaries, premium tears, premium. And honestly, as a giver, as a person in general, you need to understand that your space is precious, like your energy. Um, yeah, you need to understand how important all of that is. You cannot just give any and everybody access to you. You can still love from afar, um, but you can still love, you can be kind to everybody because is literally in your nature. So you cannot change that about you. But you also need to know and understand when you need to pause, when you need to take a step back, when you need to refuel it. Yeah, when you need to refuel, basically, because if you leave it to other people, mm, like I said, premium tier, so you'll be asking yourself all kinds of questions. But yeah, you need to protect your peace, protect your space, protect your heart. Because if you run out, like, how are you going to be able to help other people, right? How do you help yourself? How do you plan on being there for the people that actually care about you? And yes, when you create those boundaries, people are going to be shocked. Some people are going to say you've changed. Some people will even try to make you feel guilty for protecting your own peace, right? But at the end of the day, the truth is you have changed, right? You're no longer at their beck and call all the time, right? Um, you're saying no now when you need to say no. You're tired, you cannot do it, you cannot do it, right? You need rest, you cannot do it, you cannot do it. Every now and then it's inconvenient, you cannot do it, you cannot do it. And they're not used to that version of you. So yeah, some people will try to guilt trip you, some people will, I don't know, just stop being friends with you instead of adapting, right? And that's okay, because honestly in life we win some, we lose some. But yeah, you have changed, right? And in all of that, you will lose people, you will lose friendships, you will lose relationships, you will lose connections that you genuinely thought, me and this person my G for life, right? Um, yeah, you would lose those people, and that's okay. Honestly, it is completely okay. Because you have to choose you, right? Um, but at the same time, I had to look at it from this point of view. Well, somebody had to talk to me, right? We had a conversation and she literally said, when you lose people that only valued you for what you gave or what you give them, she's like, is that really a loss? Think about it. Is that really a loss? Like, technically, well, not even technically, it's not, because at the end of the day, you really do have to protect your peace to be productive. you know you have to take care of yourself to be productive, and part of it is, taking care of your emotions, how you feel inside. It's not just about the physical, right? And if I'm going to be honest, I feel like friendships are really some of the most, probably the most complicated form of relationship, right? That we have every now and then. But in all of this, you need to surround yourself with other givers, honestly. Because I think I already said this, but it is literally like that's how you form some of the most beautiful relationships ever, right? Um, but yeah, yes, yes, yes. Look at the people in your life, the ones that check in on you when you go silent, the ones that help you up when you feel down, the ones that literally have your back and you have theirs. um those are the kind of people you should keep in your life. And as Christians, honestly, God does send people our way that need our help, and we're supposed to help them, and they move on, right? And some people, like God also sends us or sends some people to us to help us out, and normally we don't have anything to give them in return. But that is very different from people who are users, if that makes sense. But yeah, just surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, people who will genuinely feel into you, people who will call you out when you're wrong, yeah, just real, true, genuine people. Sometimes you fall out with the best people, people that actually love you, people that you love, there can be misunderstandings in situations like that too, right? And it's not because they're bad people, it's not because you're a bad person, right? Sometimes they haven't learned their own limits. Yeah. So when you finally create your own limits, it feels like you've become distant, right? Or it feels to you like they become distant. But that's because, they could relate to you when you were always giving, always showing up, sometimes exhausted. And now when you say no, it confuses them in a way, right? Um, and normally people don't like change, but it's necessary, right? It's healthy most of the time, and it's completely okay. Because like I said before, we all learn at our own pace, we're growing differently. Yeah, we're at different places in our lives. You can bring some people along, but you can definitely not carry everybody along, right? You can try. You can try, but yeah, you can still be a giver, you can still love deeply, you can still show up for people. um but you have to protect yourself, you have to protect your heart, you have to protect your peace, you have to learn to say no when you need to, right? And also don't let people change you, there's so many good people in this world, there's so many we meet people all the time, we make new friends all the time. You just need to be careful before you let people into your inner circle. And I know that not every relationship is a 50-50 relationship, right? Sometimes you give more, sometimes other people give more to you, right? But there is some giving involved, like at some point, right? You should learn to identify takers, users, and all of that, like to people who are actually, genuinely there for you. Because at the end of the day, your heart is a gift, and you deserve 100% deserve to be surrounded by people that love you, and people that would pour into you as much as you pour into them. So yeah, thank you for tuning into Rain Focus. Remember that this is not about having all the answers, it's about creating a safe, honest, and compassionate space where real life is always in focus.